And we're back on the show. It's me,
We're
Hugh,
back.
and DBoss is here, and we got Ivy Reiss joining us from Parts Unknown.
Hi everybody, how are
Ivy.
you?
Hey, great. Hey, you got a lot of
Ivy.
Hi
You got a lot of-
DBoss, how are you? Can you hear me?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
I
we
do
can
have
hear
a
you.
lot of
Yes.
books. This is my kitchen, but this is why we need to do shows in the studios.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, we're hoping things are going to be back to normal here by next Tuesday or Wednesday. So, and of course, we're getting the big studio is still getting ready, but that's going to be awesome when that's launched. But anyway, Ivy, great to have you on the show today.
Yeah.
And we're talking about your book that's just been. Is it actually officially published yet?
Yeah, it's published with Aeolus House. This is it here. You can see it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
There's the place. And we are launching it, as you know, so I'm going to let everyone know, we're launching it at That Channel Studios on December 3rd with, it's Aeolus House Press, and the other author launching will be Tom Gannon Hamilton. And it's going to be live streamed. It's going to be December 3rd, and it's going to be That Channel's grand reopening.
December 3rd.
Wow.
That's going to be it's going to be a lot of fun that day.
I think so.
Right. And Ivy, let's just step back before all that happened. Now you are the editor-in-chief of the Artis, the magazine. So can you tell us a little bit about that magazine and what it entails?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I have a copy. I have some in my kitchen here. I can keep them. This is the newest issue, and that was the 4th issue. And it's we focus on the 905 and GTA art scene. And if I flip through it, you'll probably be able to see how each page is really beautiful visually.
Right.
And so it's prose, poetry, essays, original art, and we publish both established and emerging artists. And we've been recognized by the Mississauga Arts Council with the Marty Awards for the design category. Last February, I was on Global News talking about the magazine. The 4th issue, we're distributed with Chapters Indigo and in 2 independent bookstores. And you can order it online as well at theartismagazine.com. And we're going to be relaunching the next subscription cycle with issue number 5 and 6 in January 2020.
Wow.
Sorry, January 2021. This year's kind of flown by.
It's almost like
2020 was
never
like a
happened.
dream, you know, COVID haze. I don't even know where it went.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great thing,
What
you know,
happened?
and you traveled all over. You've been in England in your career, UK, right? Correct?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I spend a lot of time in Europe, usually every other. Well, I've lived there a few times. I've studied there. I have most of my family's there, so it's really easy for me to do that. And then in regard to the UK, I've covered some freelance pieces there with my freelance writing, because I do restaurant reviews, theater, and interview artists. So people can find my articles on ivyreiss.com. The website's up. It's been up. It does need some updating, but all my freelance articles are there, and going to be updating it soon to show the new book.
So what part of England are you from over there, so people will know, because they got a lot of viewers watching you?
Oh, my family's actually in Germany, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've been to London many times, and other parts of England, Yorkshire and Windsor, and other small little places. So.
Did you go see the Queen and all them, or no? Visit the palace?
Well, I've been outside her palace, but I don't think she would have noticed me, though. The guards nearly threw me into the prison, but I was trying to get noticed.
Yeah. So Ivy, I mean, magazines are very difficult. I mean, I know how difficult it is to publish a magazine. It's a big undertaking. And I'm just curious, before we get into your book, but what is your motivation for, publishing a magazine based on the arts?
Yeah, great question. It definitely is trying, for sure. I think it's been, it can be even traumatizing. It's a lot of work. And the motivation behind it was really because I started off doing, beside being a poet, I also ended up doing event coordination 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really wanted to bring more people. When I was doing the event coordination for reading events, I wanted to bring more people to the arts. And so I made events that were really accessible and all inclusive. And that kind of translated into the magazine, because when I started up the magazine in 2017, it really was about tapping back into the audiences that I had hosted with the Lit Cafe reading series I ran for 4 years, for example, and also showcasing the talent that I saw in the 905. But I also wanted to change I know it's how hard it is for artists to gain a platform. And that was one of the things I wanted to change, because I saw a lot of emerging talent that I knew was really talented, but that it was there's a lot of barriers to getting your first publication. And I also wanted to make lit magazines trendy. I don't think that they need to be, boring to look at, or kind of overbearing, especially for somebody who might not be used to looking at a literature magazine. I think that it should be a little easier to look at, a little more friendly, to bring more people to the arts, because art really does inform everything we do in our lives. And that's kind of how that translated into the Artis with Ivy Reiss talk show that I do from that channel studios, because that shows how politics and art come together. And it's been difficult doing print, but that's why I'm so excited for kind of the way things are going with book launches and live events. COVID's been very difficult for everybody, but I think it's important that the publishing industry and that all of us as artists really keep creating work, and also presenting it on a platform that shows the value of the work, as opposed to just kind of staying at home and reading it. I think we should try to really keep upping the bar, even though it's really difficult right now during COVID.
Yeah, and I just want to say that I got to give you kudos for it, because a lot of arts publications in Canada are subsidized. They get government funding, and I know yours is done with very little or maybe no funding whatsoever. So to be able to pull that off in Canada is quite an achievement. So
thank you, Hugh. Yeah, that's a really good really good point. And I should mention to people, we became a nonprofit last year, so about 12 months ago exactly now. And we will try to get funding again this year, but up till now we have funding begins in spring. But again, I know a lot of things have changed due to COVID, and I want to thank all of the subscribers and advertisers we did have. It really was very difficult to get the 4 issues out, but it was made possible by the community. And we will, when we relaunch the subscription issue, we'll relaunch a fundraising campaign as well. And people can find the current GoFundMe fundraising campaign on theartismagazine.com.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you're doing the show here at that channel too, because my own experience publishing, it's just more fun to do electronic media, whether that's audio, radio, podcasting, video. So
It is, and it's a new way. It's a different way of reaching people. I think using all the forms of media is really important.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it's all art.
Yeah, and you got to meet the public where they want to meet you. So if they want to see you in print, it's best to meet them there. If you want to do video, that's best to be there.
Absolutely.
So go ahead, DBoss.
Yeah, a lot of people, because the COVID and stuff, a lot of people are missing a lot of the shows and the artists and the venues and all that other stuff, because they can't do that anymore, right? So, a lot of people have to look to all these different alternatives to try to get their pieces and whatever, because they got people that paint every day, every night, putting out stuff. So what kind of suggestions can you tell the people during these times what to do so they can get their name out there, even though we're restricted?
I think, you're right. A lot of artists are creating a lot more art now. And some people don't have websites yet, and I think that that's important. Create your own website, and also because of everything we're doing, and I'm doing that. I think people can email me or get in touch with even thatchannel.com, because you guys give a platform for so many people. I think the electronic medium is important. I think we do need to take things to the next level above Zoom for visual artists who, can't put their stuff in galleries right now, for publishers who need to launch artists' book, and for authors who need to do book launches, for musicians, and even having salons that are, filmed live or are in a smaller but a more private space, so that it works with what are the legal requirements right now for gatherings.
Right. And what's your take? Sorry, Hugh.
Yeah, go ahead.
And what? And what's your take on these virtual shows that everybody's doing or they're trying to do? Because a lot of people are doing these virtuals where everybody really doesn't really know what's happening with that and trying to show themselves.
Or maybe IV, because we know how those can be limiting. But what you're planning to do with your launch is a little bit bigger, better, than your typical Zoom launch or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, what's interesting is I actually planned to do this 2 years ago. My book was supposed to launch in 2018, and the concept was always there. It's just become more relevant now with COVID, but the only difference is I won't have a live studio audience. But what I'm going to do is have a launch in the studio with, of course, the publisher of Ayla's House, Alan Breezemaster, hosting the event. Myself and Tom Gannon Hamilton will be the last two artists from a number of launches he's done this year, launching in this series. And we will be doing in the studio. We will have a live band playing during the intermission. Also, one of my pieces is a micro drama. So I will be reading that at the end of my set, and it has 3 voices. So obviously one of them will be me, and there'll be 2 other participants. And it's going to be really dynamic. And then the set, and there will be live music. And then Tom Gannon Hamilton also plays violin. So I believe he will be playing violin as well as reading his poems from his upcoming book, The Mezzo-Soprano Dines Alone. And then we will close off with the band again. And it's not confirmed who the band is, but it will be soon. And it's going to be a live production on stage. People can tune in, watch it live. We'll have the video thereafter. We might have an audience Q&A if people want. It's December 3rd, so it's just under a month away. So there's lots of time to find out those other small details. But yeah, people can be in touch with me at ivy_reiss@hotmail.com, or find me on Twitter. And if they need more details, or contact info@thatchannel.com. And it's got Artis Mag 905 is our Facebook page, and Artis Media 905 on Instagram. So there'll be more information there as well soon too. The Facebook's really popular.
Yeah, that's great. And also it'll be a good example of what is possible, over and above what a Zoom meeting can be all about.
Absolutely, because it's going to have a live production. It will be a live production, but it's going to have a feel as if you're in a theater, so when you're watching it at home on your TV or computer screen, it's as if you're really seeing a show, and because we're putting on an event. And and I think that that's really important, because there's no reason. I think it's been very challenging for everybody, and I think that's and it's been difficult for publishers, especially because the Nuremberger Book Fair, which takes place in October, obviously was canceled. That's one of the biggest events in the book industry. So everything that is launched in March usually goes to the Nuremberger Book Fair among Guadalajara and throughout the world. Traditionally, October is all about touring with your books. And so we need to make it happen, because online sales are difficult if you don't have a large event. And that's what I'm going to do with my launch. I want it to be a show. Okay, well, it's going to be a show. And it's November 3rd, and it'll be on that channel. And what time are you starting at? December 3rd. It's Thursday, December 3rd. And we're aiming for 7 p.m. It'll be 7 to 9. Great. So people can tune into that at thatchannel.com. Now, we got about 6 minutes left, Ivy. Okay. So let's talk about your book. And I've got a
There's the high-res image of the cover, and that's you.
Yes.
And I don't know. I just want to say that is actually right in the city of Toronto. Just
it is. It's true.
Less than a mile from downtown. So that's very cool. But what do you want to say about the book, Ivy? It's a book of poetry, and do you want to just talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my first full-length collection, and there are about 90 or 88 poems in the book, and it's quite thick. It's it's been long anticipated. I'm beyond excited to get it out, and a lot of these pieces I've read about. 87 poems is a lot of poems. There's it's been very much anticipated, is all I can say. People have seen me reading poetry on the scene for 10 years. Some of these pieces people have heard, but I think it's fair to say the majority they haven't. And it's just really exciting.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you want to read? Oh, sorry, DBoss.
And it's also, I should say, it encompasses over 10 years worth of poems. So it's really, the second book is already in the works, but this covers the period from 1998 to about 2010, and with only a couple new pieces in. So I want to thank Aeolus House. It was with some of my older poems, it was a lot of editing, but it follows a story. The book itself is in 3 parts. It has some original photography from myself, and the first part takes the reader into the downfall, and the second part is inside of the downfall, and of course the third part is coming out of it.
All
so
right.
There's some redemption and hope.
Yes.
In
Gotta
those
have
pages.
a little bit of hope.
DBoss, did
All
you?
right. Yes, I had something, if I could ask. If I can ask you, just because I'm in another room doesn't mean I'm not there. But anyway.
I know. I was so disappointed when I found out we couldn't be in the studio today.
Well, that's okay. Well, anyways, I want to ask you, can you give everybody a little snippet, not to give away, you don't have to talk about the book, but if you could give us a little bit of a snippet of the book?
Yeah, you'd like me to read a piece?
Yeah, you don't have to read a piece. You could just tell us about maybe a chapter in the book.
Well, you could read a piece if you want. We got about 3 or 4 minutes left.
Yeah. 3-4 minutes. Well, because it's poems, so there's no short stories in here. So I'll just read. I'll read a short poem with 3 minutes left. I'll do a poem that's probably 1.5 minutes.
Okay, great. We'll hear it.
Okay, it's called In Arms. I spent the night in arms, with the kind of armor that can only come from another. I walked naked in that freedom that some seek, but truly it only exists when you have no keeper. An armorless armor is really all it can be, not to be kept and to be unbound. They say it is limitless. I say it is only a guise, an invisible shackle, a disguise. Thus I unrobed my armor, without men, without cavalry, in sensing time and knowing fate. It was not a mutiny. Masks unfastened and armors dropped. I opened, disarmed. I opened just one invisible shackle and donned the arms of another.
Wow.
That's
Was that about you?
yes. Well, let me read. I'm gonna read one that's only 4 lines long because it does.
Right, go ahead.
It's like 10 seconds, and it would relate a little bit to what's happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
I've never read this one live, and it's called Birds. In every part of the world, all the birds speak the same language. Despite the country they are in, they speak as one.
There's some food for thought.
Yeah.
Maybe
we're all the same, and just like the birds, I think humanity is all the same, and we all have to stay together during this very difficult time.
Yeah. Well, everybody's different. That's what makes us the same.
Well, the birds look different, but they're all the same too.
They all can fly and they go places and
Yeah.
have wings.
And fly,
Yeah.
like the ostrich, for example.
Yeah. Do you have any feathers? Peacock feathers?
No,
Never mind.
I guess
Okay.
they had to be there.
Listen, okay, Ivy, it's been great to have you on and great to hear that poetry. So again, December 3rd, about 7 p.m., people can tune into your launch at thatchannel.com. And again, just tell people where they can go and buy the book.
Yeah, thanks Hugh, and thank you DBoss so much for
No
thank you so
problem.
much for having me on. I love your questions, and people can buy the book at the Artis mag. I will probably put it on the artismagazine.com, but I want to say just go to Ivy Reiss at ivyreiss.com. You can find me on Twitter. My handle's right below there, and you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. Again, my name Ivy Reiss. I will be posting the book on the website, on both the websites, and people can also email me or reach out to me on social media, and I will make it very clear where people can find the book on the social media in the near future as well.
Okay, awesome, Ivy. Okay,
Yeah.
so thanks for doing this, and hope to be able to see you in person one of these days, and we're looking forward to December 3rd.
Yes, thanks for having me on the show, Hugh and Dee. I will
Yes.
see you guys soon, and it's great to be on CaribVision.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
that's no problem. All right.
Okay, so we're going to take a little break now, and then we'll come back with Talk It Out and Realm Diggy.
Chill
Right on.
and despair. We'll see you in a moment.